Rise of Kingdoms has been so successful as a game that experts try to study it and break it down and scientifically evaluate it to figure out how could you make another game just like it. So in this video, we're going to break down this review of how Rise of Kingdoms got to 60 million downloads and over $1.1 billion in revenue. And if this analyst knows what they're talking about, or if the experienced players can shed some light on what really happened. Hello, my friends, and welcome back. I'm Chisgule Gaming, and for full disclosure, I am sponsored by the makers of Rise of Kingdoms for some number of videos that I make on this channel. This, however, is not one of those videos, and we're doing a breakdown of this article, and no offense intended, let me tell you up front at the start, no offense intended, this is really a reaction video to this idea that in March of this year, Rise of Kingdoms had over 60 million downloads and $1.1 billion in revenue, which is absolutely insane. So let's see if they can figure out why this game is successful and if we can help them out a little bit along the way here, because spoiler alert, I think there's a few things we can point out that you just can't figure out by playing the game a little bit or watching a few ads and so on. And I don't know how much they played the game. I don't know that they disclose exactly how much time they've invested, like really playing the game. But again, no offense intended to the author of this article, and I'm really hyped they made it. Let's get this started. They're going to look at the KPIs, key performance indicators, user acquisition, top performing creatives. This I'm going to make a separate video about. ASO strategies. Heck, man, I spent a lot of time working on user acquisition, and I don't know what ASO is. I have to Google this. Oh, it means App Store optimization. Is that what that means? App Store optimization? Dude, I never in my entire career of working on mobile apps did I say, gotta work on my ASO today, but okay, anyways. And then tips and tricks. Let's dive right in, shall we? Rise of Kingdoms is a 4X game. This is true. Explore, expand, exploit. You know when you've done this. And exterminate. You know when you zero somebody what I'm talking about. And it's set in a fantasy world. Spoiler alert. Let's just stop the article right here. If you wanted to make a game, can you imagine how much more money they would have made if they had like Lord of the Rings intellectual property or Game of Thrones intellectual property? Like, can you believe how many people they've managed to attract to this game with completely made up fantasy stuff? It's okay. And I get that it's based in history. Okay. I get that. But Boudica shoots a freaking meteor out of the sky at you when she uses her active skill. Like that's not history. Okay. That isn't. She's from history. It's a cool looking character. She's completely out of context. And the fact that it's historical in any way, like, I don't think that's relevant. People aren't like, wow, you know what I'd like to do today is experience history. Like, no, bro, no. It is cool that we're learning some things about the real world and the history of the world, sort of, by playing this game. Anyways, they choose one of 11 different civilizations. There were, fun fact, only 11 civilizations in the world. That's a joke. And they can also choose the playing style that suits them, which is an important USP. Unique selling proposition is probably what that means. For some, the focus may be on war and conquering, and for others, it may be on exploration. Close, it's actually farming. Farming is the word you meant here. Oh, I feel so productive helping them out with this article. For others, it may be farming. Farming resources and then doing nothing with them. Collecting commanders and then doing nothing with them. Battling the PvE challenges to get stronger and then to do nothing with them. Yes, farmers are probably in your kingdom and you should do something about it. It is totally up to the players until other players take your lunch money for having not contributed. Okay. Then they've got this graph about game performance, and it's the overall rank and the download rank. And Rise of Kingdoms at the moment that this picture was taken is relatively high, but I don't understand some of these games they're comparing to. Like Warpath, yes. That makes sense. State of Survival, yes. Lords Mobile, yes. Top War Battle Game, yes. Ebony, I don't know why that game is at the top of the leaderboard all the time for strategy. I think it's their ads. That has to be it. Actually, a lot of these games do look like they're kind of relevant. Some of them I don't recognize, but for the most part, these are in the genre. So, okay, good stuff. Competitors. As you can see, the main competitors for Rise of Kingdoms, according to Game Refinery. Okay. And that's where things get really interesting, is that I look at these games, and I don't feel like any of these games is a true competitor, because I don't think any of these games has true open field movement in the way that Rise of Kingdoms does. But that's what made Rise of Kingdoms a cut above. What do they say? As you might expect, there are 4X strategy games. Interestingly, the two main competitors are Avatar Pandora Rising and Magic Wars Army of Chaos. Neither of these is very successful, and I've never heard of either of them, and it's my business to know about this kind of stuff. So I think that the business world doesn't even understand the competitive landscape for what is or isn't a competitor really with Rise of Kingdoms. And Rise of Kingdoms is competing at a whole other tier because they have open field movement. It's completely next level from every other game that tries to do the same thing. And other games try to do this and they're like, I don't get why we weren't so successful. And it's like, well, do you have open field movement where you can control your marches in real time? No? Oh, well, that might be part of the problem. How successful is Rise of Kingdoms? To see how successful it is, let's look at some data. I love data, so let's get this going, right? I think, who said this? Was it Deming who said, in God we trust, all others must bring data. Show me the data. The all-time Rise of Kingdoms downloads by country. Soon after the game was released in 2018, the downloads surged and reached 2 million, and they were steady until fall of 2019, and was followed by a spike of over 3 million downloads. Since then, there were some ups and downs, yes. Yes, there have been some ups and downs. And a part of that, by the way, is just related to the world and how people are spending their time. Obviously, there's been some big reasons that people have been spending a lot of time in isolation and at home, and they're looking for something to do, and Rise of Kingdoms, they'll give you a lot to do. So as of the time of writing this article, the Rise of Kingdoms app was downloaded more than 60 million times. This was in March of this year, so, man. All-time revenue by country. Let's go. The net revenue has been steadily increasing. Peak happened at the end of 2020, 70 million. Oh, whoa. Wow. As of the writing of this article, Rise of Kingdoms has earned more than 1.1 billion. 23%, or 262 million, comes from the U.S. Wow. 23% of the spend. This is a global game. Came from the U.S. as of March in 2021. And other markets that bring a significant amount of revenue to this game are in the East: South Korea, China, Japan, Hong Kong, Taiwan, and Singapore. Yes, there are some extremely organized and powerful kingdoms that are from these parts of the world. If you want to learn about how this game earns so much revenue, okay, topic for another video. Rise of Kingdoms monetization dissection. Let's put a pin in that one for now. There's already too much to talk about. The daily active users, by the way, if you want to see how I broke down my spend in the game, not an outsider perspective, but like how I as a player optimize my account and spend, card up in the top for the video that breaks down my entire spending history of Rise of Kingdoms and where those purchases went. So daily active users in Rise of Kingdoms, due to the lockdown in 2020, we saw a surge in daily active users, 5 million people a day logging into the game. However, at the beginning of 2021, it was 1.5 and 2 million daily active users on average. I wonder what it is right now. Like when we're between big patches and content, I think that number goes down. That's just my guess. The monthly active users, we see more than 20 million active Rise of Kingdoms players in a month. Wow. Why aren't 20 million people watching my videos is what I want to know. That's what I want to know. Subscribe if you haven't already. Consider it. So, Rise of Kingdoms user retention. This is how long you hold on to players that start playing the game. 41% of players survive day one. The rest got zeroed. That's not true. Not yet anyways. But it can be improved. Just to put it in perspective, the top 2% of strategy games manage to keep half their players after the first day. So something's going on in the first day. I don't know what it would be. That like, how would I boost that number by 9%? What do you need to do in the first day to make people more? I feel like there was so much damn tapping to do in the first day that I'm like, anytime I cover a new game and there's a lot of stuff to do, I mean, I am just watching it like a hawk. And there's just way too much to do at the start. So I don't know what they do to change that. Furthermore, the 30-day retention for this game, how many people survive past 30 days, is 8%. That feels low. And for the top 2% of strategy games, it's between 14 and 22%, which is significantly more. This is what Lilith should strive for. So I think this is kind of a fair assessment that because this is a war game, you're calling this a strategy game, but are we comparing to like Clash of Clans? Are we comparing to strategy games that are in the category of strategy? Because if you try to compare to a game like Clash Royale, it's a strategy game. Isn't it a strategy game? Does it go in the strategy? Maybe that goes in the card category at this point. Maybe I don't know what I'm talking about. But if you try to compare to the wrong game, like in this game, you can get 0. You can lose everything. And that just pisses people off and they're gone. Some number of people will never, ever mentally emotional recover and they just quit the game. So, and other kingdoms are so boring. There's nothing to do. Like it takes a real alignment of like the kinds of players in your kingdom and the kind of player you're going to be and the amount of frustration you can tolerate that will get you past this mark. Now, most players play this game once a day. 25% of players log in daily. What are the other 75% doing? Not collecting their daily rewards? Are you insane? What's interesting is that there are 12% of gamers who play between 9 to 14 times a day on average. You know I play way more than that, right? Like, way more than that. This is quite an achievement. Oh, how much I play? Thank you. I think it is quite an achievement. 68% of Rock users play for more than 1 minute. I don't know how you play for less than a minute, but okay. And 48% play for more than 3 minutes, which is good. I can't believe that 3 minutes is the benchmark, by the way. Maybe they're between KVKs. More specifically, 25% of users play for 3 to 10 minutes per session. Ooh, okay. Oh, per session. 3 minutes per session. 3 minutes per session. I mean, that's fair, actually. And 20% play for 10 to 30 minutes. Yeah. I wonder who does that. No, I wonder if we know anybody who plays a lot. So, when are you taking your measurements? When I'm in KVK or when I'm not in KVK? Time spent. If we look at the average time spent, 57% of players spend more than 10 minutes. See, this makes sense to me. It takes more than 10 minutes just to send some gatherers and do your dailies. You could do it pretty fast, but like if you're spending your AP, which you should be, you probably are pushing in that 20 to 30 minute mark. What's impressive is that 21% of players play for 1 to 10 hours a day. Yes, we do. These are highly engaged users every developer wants to acquire. Yeah. No, the people watching these videos, you are the ones that they want to play the game. Who's playing Rise of Kingdoms? Now, this is kind of interesting and adds, this is a topic for a separate video, honestly. 64% of Rise of Kingdoms players are men, while the other 36% are women. That's a lot. I don't know how they know that fact. Is that self-reported or is that like, how do they know that? Because if it's self-reported, I'm going to tell you right now, there's a lot of catfish, like a lot of catfish, but that is encouraging. Like in my perfect world, it would be 50-50, right? The average age of a Rock player is 31. 20% of players are younger than 24. 29% of players are in the 25 to 34 age group. 23% are in the 35 to 44 age group. And 9% are older than 55. You know, my dad played when he was still in this world, and yeah, he was older than 55. He was in that category. So we can see from this distribution, it's quite even. There's a significant percentage of older users. In other words, Rise of Kingdoms appeals to all age groups. This is true. Young or old, everybody wants to pwn noobs, and they've got some gamer motivations here listed in a chart. Strategic planning, resource optimization, exploration, conquering other players, and working with other players. And if we just get a zoom in on this, working with other players and the social aspects score really highly. Nobody cares about mastery in Rise of Kingdoms because there's not that much to master, to be perfectly honest. And people care more than the average 4X strategy game for management and strategic planning and resource optimization. This is true. A lot of people watch my resource gathering guides and exploration. Yeah, I mean, I guess that's a fair representation, right? Like the pwning noobs category could maybe be a bigger section here, but okay, cool. So below, you can see how important those are along with motivations for Rock players and other 4X strategy games. So this chart is kind of comparing the different aspects that we were just looking at in those scores. Okay, we saw this already. Let's keep going. The player archetypes. Ooh, which one are you? According to Game Refinery, Rise of Kingdoms appeals to the strategist, the networker, and the treasure hunter. Strategists are drawn to games that reward but also require a strategic mindset, planning, and rigorous optimization around various gameplay areas. This is true. I am a strategist. Networker. See gaming as a social activity best enjoyed with other. I like networking, but I am not a networker. I would say I am primarily a strategist and then a treasure hunter and then a networker. Not that I don't love other people. I do. Okay. But when you look at what the majority of my videos are about, it's all right here in strategy, and then sometimes about treasure hunting, and then sometimes about networking. You see what I mean? Treasure hunting, I mean, who doesn't want special talent legendaries? Joke's on you, Chisgule. So, Rise of Kingdoms analysis, paid user acquisition. Okay, this whole category, I think I got to talk about in a separate video. Let's jump to the next part of the article. Okay, Rise of Kingdom analysis, organic user acquisition. I don't know how organic user acquisition stands for ASO. Is that App Store optimization? But whatever. Okay. A good user acquisition strategy consists of both paid and organic acquisition of customers. You know what is insane? How there is no in-game referral program in Rise of Kingdoms. It's absolutely insane. It's borderline criminal. I don't know how it is conceivable that this game does not have a function where you get gems for referring a friend. Maybe they just think it's going to be cheated too much. Maybe that's what's going on. There's got to be a system that should be, there's got to be a way to do that. Validated real users. I don't know, man. I don't know. Game title. Fun fact. It used to be called Rise of Civilizations. This is true. I'm guessing because Lilith wanted a name that reminds gamers of Civilization, a popular PC game that I played the ever-living heck out of when I was a little kid. Civ 2 was badass, man. What's great about Rise of Kingdoms is that the name alone gives a lot of information about the game. True. I can deduce several kingdoms or civilizations are battling against each other. I will probably lead one of them. Furthermore, Rise of Kingdoms just sounds like a name for a strategy game, so I can assume the genre as well. Because the word kingdom is in the title, it reminds me of Lord's Mobile Kingdom Wars, which is probably very intentional. Also, even though Rise of Kingdoms may not seem like a very descriptive name at first glance, it tells gamers a lot about it. That's what a good game title should do. It makes people interested in this type of strategy and click on the icon. The icon. Rise of Kingdoms icon has a semi-realistic cartoonish style. And it depicts the head of a mascot or character, more specifically Double C, commander of Northern China. I mean, that they're just trying to seem like they understand the game. There's no Northern China in this game. This is another trend for strategy game icons. Okay, so this is called a hero image. You have somebody like yours truly that just is smiling and is like, yeah, and like that's called a hero image when you put that on a thumbnail for a video or an app store icon right over here. Double C is the hero of this image. He is prominent and stands forward, and the only thing that's confusing is the letter C in the background. I was going to say something about that. I'm guessing that's because it used to be called Rise of Civilizations. They should probably update that. Should it be a K behind his head? Are we all going to lose our mind if they change their icon? But I guess they're all, you know, like busy working on, what are they working on right now? They're working on Champions of Olympia. So they're doing that instead of this. The promo video breakdown. Oh my gosh. So there's a promo video here that I'm going to play, although I had to turn the sound off because I don't want to get a copyright strike for the music. Okay. This is what you see if you want to understand the game. Explore. That is actually, some of these are in-game things. Okay. There's no telescope in the game. And there's no sculpture of Caesar's head like Mount Vernon, but, okay. Yeah, a city, swords, expand. I mean, this is actually, okay, that wasn't Rise of Kingdoms. That's not Rise of Kingdoms, but for the most part, that's pretty fair in terms of like gameplay and obvious cinematics. Compared to what that could be, that's actually pretty fair. I don't know how you would convey in short order, like, just how much of this game is actually reacting to the other people. Also, hilarious that the recommended videos are whatever these goats are doing. These are puppies, not goats. Okay. Building a mud house with abandoned puppies. A thing about Native American music. Something about undersea adventures. A cat with a lemon. A cat in a toilet. And my ultimate starter guide, baby. Hey, I am ranked up there with the champions for recommended videos. So they break this down as a combination of animated and gameplay footage. It demonstrates what the game is all about. It's edited dynamically. I mean, yeah, sure. What's missing at the end is a call to action. Actually, really good advice there. Like, download now, or start your journey today, or like any phrase that's like, let's go, baby. Like, what are you asking somebody to do at the end of that video? That is an insightful call out. Like, why are you missing a call to action? Is great. Now, just like the ads, most graphics on Rock's App Store page are not a true representation of the game. Topic for a separate video. Subscribe if you want to see me talk about that. It doesn't look quite as good as that. I mean, obviously they put the cinematics and that sort of stuff, right? However, here's a couple screenshots with the real deal. This is how you know they didn't play the game too much. Either they downloaded the screenshot or they only got their Sun Tzu to level 20, man. So at least they knew not to level up any of these legendaries. Although they did get, dude, how did they get Esong? I don't know. Something's a little fishy here. Something's a little fishy here, but all right, we'll just keep going. Analysis. 3 things you can learn from this game. Oh, 1. Avoid misleading advertising. So, topic for a separate video. This is something I'm going to cover really in depth, okay? 2, create ads around gamer motivations. This is interesting. The reason why Rise of Kingdoms ads are so effective, we're still talking about the ads. I'm going to talk about this in a separate video. They can't simply target gamers as a whole. They speak to different types of strategy gamers and their unique motivations for playing. I've got to talk about this more in depth in a separate video. Like some of these, I don't know if I would say these are people's motivations, but okay. Implement humor, mascots, characters, and storyline creatives. I find it casual and humorous for the narrative style of Rise of Kingdoms. I do think that just like with World of Warcraft, how it's like really cartoony, right? I thought that was never going to work. Turns out cartoony people really like. It's lighthearted and whimsical, which actually, true. That aspect of the art style, I think, is good. But can you imagine if this was like actual intellectual property that they used for this game? Oh my God. Like if this was Lord of the Rings themed, can you imagine how many people would have discovered this game? It would be insane. Final thoughts on, so dude, for their 3 concluding thoughts. They talked about all this other stuff, and the 3 things they conclude are ads, and creative, colorful, humorful mascots. Okay, so I probably would come up with some different conclusions here. So let's see what they say here, though. Final thoughts on Rise of Kingdoms user acquisition strategy. Oh yeah, we haven't even talked about how this is a pay-to-win game. So even though many people criticize Rise of Kingdoms for its advertising and being a pay-to-win game, the success is undeniable. If you're a mobile game developer, there's a lot can be learned from this strategy game and its user acquisition process. I feel like this is a huge over-indexing on the user acquisition and it's really under-indexing on the most important thing, which is that there's actually a game here underneath the whimsical characters that is extremely strategic. You have choices that you are making that matter. You have consequences for your actions. This is a hardcore game, okay? Where when you make certain choices, you lose things permanently while still building up power with your account. That's a formula for success here, right? There's a dynamic. There's a push-pull. There are things you're collecting in this game, which are not talked about at all, driving so much of this game. Commanders, equipment, okay? Resources. There's so many things you are collecting that makes this a collection game, and all of that is... Did they talk about it? I don't know. The collection aspect of this game is crucial, and you use that collection in a way that is glorious not only for you, not only for your alliance, but for a whole kingdom, which could be over 1,000 other humans who are interested in you making good choices as a player. I think that Rise of Kingdoms still has many years left, but a part of what will determine the success of the game moving forward is the choices they make to keep us entertained, for those of us who have been doing this same thing for 3 years now. And it's not exactly the same thing. There's new things that they release, right? But as an example, naval battles would be new and different and could be cool if done right? When they added Vikings, the game blew up, right? The right things that are historically accurate still, because that's, you know, the jam with Rise of Kingdoms, but ties into actual intellectual property, as I was saying earlier. They got some people from like the Vikings TV show or whatever. I don't even know what it's about, and I just know that, man, they like keyed into the right thing, and it just blew up, man. So I think that Rise of Kingdoms has a long way to go here. I think if the developers make good choices moving forward, we'll also be playing this game for quite some time. But that's going to depend on the things that they do to continue to make this game successful. What should those things be? Definitely let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. I have 2 or 3 follow-up videos to this article, so a huge thank you to Udonis, the folks who wrote this article. This is all publicly available information. I'll have a link to the article in the description if you'd like to check it out. And if you enjoyed this video, do me a favor, throw a like on here and consider subscribing. See, that was my call to action. I gave you a call to action. That's what that is. And also, if you enjoyed this video, then check out the card up in the top for another awesome video about Rise of Kingdoms. See, that's a call to action. And until next time, you have fun smashing your enemies. Yes, check out my video about how to save Rise of Kingdoms, though. That's the one you want to watch. Check it out.